In early 2024, a finance worker at the multinational firm Arup logged into a video conference. He saw his chief financial officer. He heard his chief financial officer. Based on their conversation, he authorized the transfer of $25 million. The problem? He was the only human on the call. Everyone else was a real-time AI-generated deepfake. No malware was installed, and no systems were breached. This is a chart showing the cumulative growth of business email compromise, or BEC, from 2013 to the present. Over the last decade, organizations across 186 countries have lost more than $55 billion to these schemes. The sheer volume of these attacks means investigators can no longer rely on old methods. Welcome to reWant Courseware, an AI-narrated technology video series unpacking the latest lectures and thoughts from Professor Adam Scott Wandt. This series is grounded in the curriculum taught at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. For decades, digital forensics relied on a straightforward process. Investigators confiscated a suspect's physical hard drive and imaged it in the lab. Today, that approach is entirely obsolete. A 2013 foundational study by Zawad and Hassan laid out the reality. Modern evidence lives on remote, multi-tenant cloud servers. You cannot seize a data center without violating the privacy of thousands of unrelated users. Because the data is distributed and remote, the static crime scene is dead. Digital forensic examiners must now investigate active, live network incidents while the data is still in motion. Imagine you arrive at a finance director's desk hours after a fraudulent wire transfer. The workstation is powered on. The instinct is to immediately jump in and start pulling data. Touching that keyboard without establishing clear legal authority is disastrous for a case. A common misconception in corporate investigations is that an employer's right to search is granted by the private search doctrine, a Fourth Amendment concept rooted in the 1984 Supreme Court case United States versus Jacobson. That doctrine actually answers a completely different question. It only governs what government investigators, like the FBI, can do with evidence after a private party has already conducted a search and handed it over. It does not give the corporate examiner the initial right to snoop through an employee's machine. In reality, an investigator's authority to search a company-issued device comes from corporate policies. Acceptable use policies, verified device ownership, and specific employment agreements are what actually grant permission to collect data. If you misattribute the source of your search authority, you give opposing counsel a massive target. They will exploit the error, and any evidence collected will likely be ruled inadmissible in court. Once authority is locked in, you enter the identification and scoping phase of the incident response. Here, your primary job is to map the blast radius of the live incident before the trail goes cold. Persistent storage, like the files saved on a hard drive, will be there tomorrow. Volatile evidence will not. Active network connections, browser session tokens, and cryptographic keys exist only in the computer's live memory, or RAM. The moment the system powers down, that live memory is permanently destroyed. Investigators must deploy specialized RAM capture tools before taking other action. Immediately following the capture, you have to generate a SHA-256 hash. This mathematical fingerprint locks down the file, proving the chain of custody and ensuring the memory image hasn't been altered since the moment of collection. Today, securing a machine isn't enough because the compromise might not be digital, it might be synthetic. In mid-2024, a senior executive at Ferrari received a call from someone sounding exactly like CEO Benedetto Vigna, demanding an urgent financial transaction. It was a highly convincing AI voice clone, foiled only when the executive asked a personal question the deepfake couldn't answer. This graphic breaks down what investigators look for in suspected synthetic media. On the audio side, tools scan for unnatural prosody, missing breath patterns, and spectral gaps in the waveform. On video, examiners analyze wireframes for micro-expression latency, edge distortion, and unnatural blinking patterns. You must actively look for these artifacts and document your findings. In modern fraud response, confirming the absence of AI-generated media is just as critical to defining the scope of an incident as discovering a deepfake. All of this chaotic, high-speed triage ultimately distills down into one professional deliverable, the scope summary. This document is a complete ledger of the initial response. It states verified legal authority, logs volatile artifacts captured from memory, and details deepfake assessments. It serves as the definitive foundation that legal counsel, management, and regulators rely on to decide their next moves. How evidence is collected matters just as much as what is collected. An unauthorized search, or one that steps outside the defined scope, immediately strips the findings of their evidentiary weight. Defeating modern corporate fraud requires a dual mindset. You have to operate with the technical speed of a first responder while maintaining the meticulous precision of a legal scholar. Like, follow, and subscribe for more deep dives into emerging technology, digital investigations, and the ideas shaping our future. And remember, stay curious and want knowledge.